They are coming for him. They are coming for him. They're here. They're ready to pounce. Good afternoon, Reds. Welcome back to the channel. As the toxicness spreads amongst the fan base and manages to reach Europe in a little place called the Netherlands, Erik Ten Hag's hometown, his own people questioning certain decisions and starting to pile on the manager. We're definitely going to talk about that. We're also going to discuss the player leaks that are recently surfacing. There's some stuff coming out from credible journalists, which I definitely want to dive into. I want to talk about how I would like us to line up in the future going forward, how we can resolve some of our current issues, whether that's tactically, whether that's, individual personnel. So we'll have a discussion about that. And I want to discuss this stat that came out last night, and I've seen some people praising it, which I think is very, very bizarre in my opinion. But the main focal point of today's show is going to be, we're going to discuss the Dutch media, who have had a lot to say about Manchester United, and obviously when they get an opportunity to speak about Manchester United and an opportunity to get the name in the headlines, they'll absolutely jump at it. So you've had Wesley Sneijder, you've had Van Basten, you've had Van der Vaart in the past talking about us. For some bizarre reason, the Dutch media just like going after one of their own. I don't know what it is, but they just have it in for Dutch managers or Dutch players. They're extremely critical. Some people say that's not a bad thing because he deserves the criticism. I understand, certain aspects of that, but when it starts to get a little bit personal and a little bit insulting, that's when I kind of want to back the manager in a sense, even though he is doing shit. So look, we know the Dutch media can be volatile, and we know what they are like. You've seen it with Harry Maguire, with Van der Vaart, getting personal, talking about certain things that have absolutely nothing to do with football. But look, this is slightly different. I think Wesley Sneijder's more taking aim at Ineos more than anything, and then Van Basten's, I think, more critical of the manager in himself and the recruitment. So Sneijder says, we now read reports. This is a week of truth for Erik Ten Hag. What's all this about? What if he draws versus Porto and accidentally beats Aston Villa? That would fix everything for them. What's this policy? So this club is already working on maybe appointing a new manager, but at the same time, these two results can change everything. So I'm a little bit baffled by that. Van Basten says, I saw a new player walking around at Manchester United, Ugarte, for 50 million euros. How is this guy walking around there? It's idiotic how much Ten Hag has decided to invest in players who are not even good. That I completely disagree with. I don't want to talk. This comment I actually agree with. Name me one top player at Man United. At every top club, you see a top player. Rashford is very bad. Bruno Fernandes is a good player. Onana's a good goalkeeper. That's it. Casemiro is done. Garnacho is a team player, but nobody carries that team. So look, let's just pick this apart a little bit from some of the journalists. Well, if the journalists they want to call themselves that, I prefer to use the term bitter ex-players, but. First and foremost, I think Schneider's clearly jealous. He never got the most highly anticipated move on the market to Manchester United. The rumour that would come around every year, and he'd be waiting at his door with his suitcase and his passport in his hand, and it never came around. So I think, all jokes aside, I do think whenever they get an opportunity to kill one of their own, they take it. Now, Schneider, like I said, is more criticising kind of Ineos. Because where is the plan in that, in saying, like, you either make a decision now, if you don't believe he's the right man, which there was speculation about over June, July, right? Because we were speaking to other managers. We had a meeting in Monaco with Thomas Tuchel. We spoke to the Zerbi's camp. We spoke to Thomas Frank's camp. I'm pretty sure Poch was in the conversation as well. So there were obvious concerns about, the style from last season. And those concerns are coming to fruition again. And they're kind of looking at it saying, yeah, we was right about it, which is why they didn't fully back him and give him 3, 4, 5 years or whatever it was. It was just an extension and see, right, let's proper back him. Let's give him the right structure and then let's see how he cracks on. He hasn't cracked on. If anything, we've regressed, to be honest. We're not great. No, we've not progressed and we're not regressed. We've just stayed the same. That's what we've done. So, to be fair, is Schneider saying, like, well, what are they doing? Are they just going to sit on it? And, all of a sudden, if he beats Villa and beats, Porto, you're going to keep him as the manager? Is that not knee-jerk in itself? Is that like the opposite of what you would do if he loses? I don't know. It's a bizarre situation, isn't it? Because I've seen these players turn up when they want to, when it matters. The FA Cup final being a prime example of that. Beating Liverpool 4-3 at Old Trafford. Like, they are capable of doing it. They just can't do it on a consistent basis. So that isn't showing that the manager's good. That's just showing that he can get a tune out of him when required at certain times. We need a manager to grind consistency out of this team week in, week out, and make them resilient, make them hard to beat. And and make them engaged and focused. That is a coach's job. And I don't believe a coach has successfully done that. And we've had some of the best coaches in the world come to this club and struggle. Mourinho, Van Gaal, very, very high reputations in world football. And Ten Hag had a decent reputation. He was a bit more of the hipster kind of choice, I would say, to go for at the time. But he came in. Obviously, he's won 2 trophies, but there's no sustainable style in the league. And eventually, that's what you want to aim towards. So, with Snyder saying that, like I said, I don't necessarily disagree with him. I think it is a bit of a flaky plan to kind of wait for the international break and wait for results to kind of turn around. What if you bring a new manager in now? What if you bring Ruud in? It's fresh, new ideas. The players respond. You go and beat Villa. You go draw Villa, let's say, and you go and beat Porto. Do you know what I mean? Like, how long do you want to wait around for? I get they want to have faith and they want to back it, because otherwise they've already made one wrong decision, haven't they? In the start to the, however long they're going to be here for Manchester United. They might turn out to be eventual owners in that case. But by keeping him on, I think you're dropping points personally. And I love Erik Ten Hag. I was one of those after the FA Cup final who sat there and said, you can't get rid of him now. He's just beat our rivals in an FA Cup final and won his 2nd trophy in 2 years. Maybe that was me being naive. Maybe that was me being connected too much emotionally to say, yeah, get rid of him and not having kind of my business head on. But you can't criticise fans for being like that. Everyone felt like that after the FA Cup. Everyone thought, let's just give him a chance. Let's just give him a chance, because he's shown he can do it in a game. But we still haven't got the consistency, so it's time to let go, in my opinion. I think the Tottenham game was definitely the straw that broke the camel's back, for me at least. I don't know how you guys feel about that. But let's move on to Van Basten's comments, because these are the ones where I get a little bit annoyed with and a little bit frustrated. So the comments on Ugarte saying, why has he signed him? He's not a good player, 50 million euros and blah, blah, blah. I don't understand how you can make a judgment on a player after 2 or 3 games. Look, he wasn't great against Spurs, but when you're in a mid-block with no pressure, what do you expect? Tottenham it pressed extremely well and extremely high up. And that was Ugarte's, 2nd start in the Premier League or 1st start in the Premier League? And you're going to drill him straight off the bat. At least give it, a couple of months. Let him get into rhythm. Let's see how he is before you absolutely kill a man, before he's even started. You know what I mean? He's hardly put his United kit on yet and people are absolutely gunning for him. Craziness. I bet when Van Basten, because he played for Ajax and AC Milan, I bet when he went to AC Milan, he weren't scoring hat-tricks straight off the bat in his first couple of games. You have a settling-in period, and then you make your assessments. And tactics have to come into that, and setup has to come into that as well. That can expose a player. So there's context to it. There's layers. The top player comment, though, I do agree with. I don't think at Manchester United at the moment, I don't think we have a needle mover. I don't think we have a star. We don't have that guy who you can look to like Chelsea doing Cole Palmer and say, he's the man, he's going to deliver today, week in, week out. We want to believe that it is someone like Bruno Fernandes, like it is someone like Bruno Rashford then, like it is someone like Marcus Rashford. They are not the stars. They're not. They're too petulant. They're too inconsistent. Some of them don't. Bruno sometimes in big games doesn't show up. Rashford will sometimes, but then won't show up in the games where you expect him to score. We haven't got that. We haven't got that star, and each team in the league has it who they look to. Anthony Gordon at a minute for Newcastle is doing bits. You go to Arsenal, it's not even Saka at the moment. Who's Trossard's been pretty good for him. Ødegaard's been absent, but there's players chipping in and delivering. We don't have players who deliver. We have a very young squad, granted, but I touched on this on a show I did a couple of days ago. Monaco won the league with a younger squad than we've got. Barcelona won the league with the younger squad that we've got. Fergie did it in the 90s. Age can be used. Yes, you're a little bit inexperienced, but you've still spent a lot of money and you've got a lot of talented players there. And we don't have a go-to star. Maybe that will be Kobe in a good few years. Maybe it'll be Garnacho. But right now, we haven't got an experienced needle mover in that team. That's the issue. And I agree. I have to agree with that. Just before we move on to the play leaks and I dive into the comments, I want to mention something. So, as we all... my voice is going now. As we all do, we listen to content, right? And we watch content around football. This is why you guys are in the chat right now. This is why fan channels exist. This is why football channels exist. Tacticians, whatever floats your boat, right? People like watching this kind of stuff. I like listening to the kickoff purely because, well, it's one of the shows I listen to, but I listen to a lot of tactical stuff like H2 on the overlap and a few Talk of the Devils and a few other things that I like listening to, right? So I was listening to the kickoff. I couldn't sleep. I was up at like 4 in the morning. I was just struggling. I had so much caffeine yesterday. I was just like rattling in bed. You know, you're like doing the loo and you're like, Jesus Christ. So I just needed something to listen to take my mind off it. So I put the kickoff on. You've got True Geordie there, who's a Newcastle fan. You've got Josh, I think his name is, who's an Arsenal fan. You've got another one who's a Chelsea fan. And then you've got, I think it's Craig, who's the Tottenham fan. And right at the very start of the stream, the whole show, so 30 minutes talking about Manchester United, right? Right at the very start of the stream, all of them are smiling and buzzing that United have lost. Like, genuinely joyed and like, giggling, like, and cackling like school children that United have lost. And I get it. So there's a Tottenham fan in there, and I'm watching, you know what, like, he's got every right to do what he's going to do, right? He's got every right to slate United, say, we bodied them, we absolutely dominated Old Trafford about, because I do the same. If we went to Tottenham Hotspur, beat him 3-0, James Maddison was sent off, you damn right I'd be in the faces and be like, what? We're Man United. So that I completely understand. But the strong agendas and some of the stuff they were saying about, like, the players and the manager, and you just sat there listening to it like, this is such a strong, like, again, getting personal with the True Geordie hates United. And I don't know if it's because we beat him in the final. I don't know if it's all the Dan Ashworth stuff. I don't know what it is. But it's like genuinely get joy out of, like, hating United. And it just made me realise it was like, no matter how poor we are in a league season, no matter where we are, if we're 11th, if we're winning titles, whatever it is, United will always be in the conversation, and people just hate United, and there's always this pressure on them consistently. And I was listening to it, I said I would love it if I was on this show, because a lot of the stuff they're saying I would debunk instantly. They're talking crap, they're talking about things that they've not even looked into tactically in terms of injuries, whatever it is. They're talking utter nonsense. So I just thought, yeah, that is just a little glimpse of the media, what it could be like with Man United. They will, when they are down, they will really, really jump on the back of you. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, let's go to the comments, and then I'll go on to the player leaks and certain players turning against the manager, as we've seen. We've been here before, haven't we? The chapter. Madam United saying, hope you're okay, Nick. Hope you're good, mate. Thank you for joining me. Let us know what you're up to this week. Are we all in work, or are we on a break, or what are we doing? Steph saying 96 Premier League points still to play for. Jesus Christ. It's supposed to be decisions of committees now, I thought. Instead, we're back to scapegoats and player power confirmation. It's not great, but the negativity started far too early, taking the batch. We've got Andy Williams joining us as well. Pick up yourself. Pick up Lucky Singh. Shreya's in the chat as well. I hope you're good, mate. I hope you're doing well. James Brewster saying Ten Hag out. Who's with me? Lingham David saying, first and foremost, we don't have a proper coach. We're not going to have anybody that we can say is an outstanding or unbelievable player. Our players are not good enough. Our players are a joke. Glory, glory, Man United forever. A big club doesn't let the standards drop this low. The neutral fans can't understand it. I get it. And at the same time, he was saying, you know, it's a big red flag when you have all the rival fans that are saying, keep this manager. Keep hold of him. We want you to keep him, because every time we played there, when Liverpool have come to Old Trafford, they've beat us 3-0. Crystal Palace have beat us 4-0. Man City beat us 6-3. Man City beat us 3-0. Brentford have beat us 4-0. You know, you go through the list, there's loads. We've lost loads of times without scoring a goal. So, of course, rival fans would want that. But I just thought it was really petulant. If you go and watch the show, I'm not even trying to be a plug or anything like that, because that's, you know, I don't care. But if you watch the start of the show, honestly, they're all like, oh, let's talk about United, lads. Let's, oh, can't wait for this. You know what I mean? It's bizarre. I get it from a Spurs perspective, because they was in the game. But I don't know. Maybe I do it sometimes with Liverpool, but that's just because Liverpool are direct rivals. Newcastle are not really a direct rival. You know, it was more in the 90s. Chelsea are not really a direct rival. That was like 05, 04 when Mourinho came in. And obviously Moscow in the final. That was that kind of period. And do you know what I'm saying? It's just bizarre for me. Very, very bizarre. Anyway, let's talk about the players' leaks. So, we had Chris Wheeler who writes for the Mail, and Sammy Mockbell, I think it is, who's a pretty decent journalist, saying Manchester United players expect Erik Ten Hag to be sacked, although he still has the support of the dressing room. There is a growing feeling among the players that he cannot stop the rot, and the change is inevitable. Thanos reference, inevitable. Some players were surprised that Ten Hag was not sacked in the summer, and we also had Andy Mitten. I don't know if it was on Talk of the Devils or a separate interview that he did, saying that he spoke to players after the final, and some of them were still not convinced, even though they just won a trophy. Some of them were still referencing Sheffield coming to Old Trafford and nearly playing them off the park, other clubs coming into Old Trafford and cutting them open, and that's absolutely spot on. I think once it's there, once you know you've lost some of the dressing room, we've seen this rodeo before. There is only one way that this goes. Ragnick had it, Ollie had it, Jose had it, Van Gaal had it, and Moyes had it basically from the start, instantly, as soon as he was taking over, and showing fucking videos to Rio Ferdinand of Phil Jagielka, how he's defending and stuff, which is just utter madness. The question is, what is the true potential of this team? The true potential. How good actually is this squad? How much of it is just the manager, and how much of it is the players? Because I think what these players have inside them, despite whatever world-class coach you want to bring in, whatever players you want to bring in, I think these players have a really, really flaky mentality and just a bad form of inconsistency in them, despite what age they're at. I just do. I just believe they're their kind of players. We don't have any relentless winners who show up on a weekly basis. We really, really don't. So, yeah, you can bring a manager in. You might get a tune out of these players for a while, but I see it going the same way. Unless there are massive, massive changes, and we have already supposed to have made massive, massive changes. £600 million we have spent, and we're still probably going to finish 7th or 8th. It's mad. So if a new coach does come in, let's say Ruud van Nistelrooy does come in, you probably have a manager bounce. You'll probably start winning games. Everyone will be talking about him like he's the new flavour of the month. And eventually, the players, if we have the same players like Rashford and Bruno Fernandes, and a couple of others in the team, we are still going to be that team. I don't think we win a Premier League title with Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford in the team. Or as Højlund as your striker, or maybe he'll get up to that point. Maybe Mainu and Garnacho will, they're youngsters, maybe Ahmad will. But where's the seasoned, experienced winners in that team? There isn't any. At all. There just isn't. You need a little bit of spice in there with that. That's what concerns me the most. And I think this group of players, at best, is a top 4 team. At best. Even now, when you look at the competition in the league, it's so fierce and it's so competitive. You're going to struggle to get into the top 6. You're going to struggle. Even if we bring in a really, really good coach now, it's still a tough battle getting in there. The way other teams are playing. The way Aston Villa are playing under Unai Emery. I know they drew against Ipswich on the weekend, but they've lost one game, I think, so far this season. The way Liverpool are playing under the Slot, really, really good. And they're getting consistency, and they're getting, they can rely on the people in the team. They know what they're going to get. Our team is just a bag of mad apples. You really never know what you're going to get. And that's why life as a United fan is just a roller coaster, isn't it? My Damn United says, how many times are we going to do this, though? What manager out there has the authority to stamp a brand on these bottle job players? I said before the season started, the detractors should have all gone. Andy's saying, I just think nowadays you need better man managers rather than coaches, and Erik Ten Hag is awful at man management. Yeah, it does come across like that, and you have heard reports about that before as well, haven't you? His stubbornness frustrates players. And look, we've sat here as fans and watched games, and we've all collectively said as a community, when after a game when we've done a post-match review, these tactics are baffling. How does he keep sticking with them? And we're getting frustrated. So imagine what the players are feeling like when they're being targeted and playing it in this system. Of course they're going to be pissed off, aren't they? Of course they are. Manchester United are the best, says come on United. Elite baller in the chat, big up to yourself. Ollie was different though. He had a heart in United. I'm talking about man management. Ollie was good on the man management side, but I didn't think he was ruthless enough either. I don't think he had that ruthless streak in him. Like he did as a player. That's why they called him the silent assassin. But I think he was too buddy-buddy. You need to find a balance in between. Ten Hag seems too stubborn and head teacher-like, doesn't he? That's the vibe that he gives off. Whereas you look at Pep or Arteta, or they give off that authority, that discipline, but they've still got that strong connection with the players as well. Like, there's love there, but there's also tough love. And that's what you need. You need the correct balance. And Ten Hag just seems like a bit of a school teacher who's stuck in his ways, unfortunately. But I do like it. Look, he's delivered 2 trophies. You can't look past that. I just think last season, potentially, I think that's what killed him mentally. I really, really do. I think it stretched him so much. It was like we was in ultra attacking mode consistently for 90 minutes a game. When you're conceding so many shots on your goal, it's so workless, like tirelessly, end to end, back to forth, chaotic. And it was a chaotic season as it was anyway. Like, the fixtures was just insane, and then you had the Euros and a Copa America on top of that. And then they've started this season like, right, these fresh new people have come in. You've got Dan Ashworth, you've got Omar Barada, you've got Jason Wilcox, new style, new feel. Everybody's in a good mood, pre-season, thumbs up, right? Away we go, start the season. We start the season, and it's like, oh, well, we didn't expect this. Same performances. The 3-0 at home to Liverpool. The draw to Crystal Palace, even on the first 45 minutes, was pretty promising and controlling. You don't finish your chances. We're not scoring goals again. We're still conceding quite a bit. You drop points to FC 20, and then you lose to Spurs. And it's like, well, we need a new manager again. Somehow, we end up here again. Disappointing, man. Disappointing. We have had some latest manager updates coming in. So we had Muppeteers, who's a good friend of the channel, report some stuff last night. We also had Seamoff Iszel, who's mid-tier kind of journalist, but Man United offered the job to Thomas Tuchel in the summer, but he turned down the offer. He does not like the role offered to him. I do like Tuchel, by the way, but I think Mazraoui and De Ligt might be in the mud if he came. Ruud van Nistelrooy will most likely finish the season, and the club will sign a brilliant coach in the summer, all in the event of Ten Hag's departure, reports. At a meeting with Manchester United bosses a few weeks ago, Van Nistelrooy is said to have left a positive impression, whilst Erik Ten Hag acted more reserved. The bosses were quite impressed. Like I said, a lot of people are pushing for Ruud. And I get it, as a player, phenomenal. Probably the best striker we've ever had in terms of finishing. No doubt, right? As a coach, what he did at PSV, his record was decent. When you look at any kind of stats around him, he was decent. He won a few cups, I believe, as well in his time there. And he was looked at as a decent coach. But he hasn't got a deep resume either. He's got a worse resume than Ten Hag had before he came to United. And you've got that kind of Dutch element again. Now, I'd expect, like I said before, an initial manager bounce. I think you're going to get that with Ruud van Nistelrooy. But then we're in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer territory again. Do you give him the job based off, half a season? I don't know. You could end up potentially ruining another guy's legacy at the club, depending on how he does. It's an unknown entity. I still think it's a risk, but I think it's something that Ineos will go with. They clearly like him, and we said at the start, as soon as we found out it was Rene Hack and Ruud van Nistelrooy who was coming in, the instant thing we all said on this channel was, that's a contingency plan. There is no way they are bringing in a manager from another club, 2 head coaches in as assistants, without the thought of, well, actually, if it does go tits up with Erik Ten Hag, like it has done, we've got someone there to pivot to. We don't have to panic, and we don't have to do what we did over in summer and start speaking to managers publicly and all this kind of stuff. We've got someone there who knows the fabric of the club, who's a legend of the club. That'll buy us a bit of time until we get to the summer, and then we can go get the guy that we actually want, whoever that is. That is the plan, I'm telling you now. We said it from the start. But yeah, I don't know who the manager is that they want eventually. Who is the big guy? Because apparently talks with Tuchel went really, really well. And then there was a second meeting, and then shit went tits up. And I think, like me and Aaron touched on this yesterday, I just think it was recruitment policy and certain players, like, you're not allowed to bring this guy in. You have to work with these players that we've just brought in, yada yada, etc. But one thing I do want to do, I'll go to the comments first, but I want to discuss a certain system that I want to play, and I'll put it on the screen in a minute, and I want to get all your thoughts on it. I'd pick at it, and if you think, it's tactically wrong or the personnel isn't correct, come at me in the chat and we'll have a conversation. But I'll put it on the screen in a minute. I'll just get to the comments first. All we're doing, even if Erik Ten Hag is the wrong manager in the long run, is confirming the player power mentality within the squad and tainting the new players' minds with this pervasive disease. Nick, I enjoyed your analysis of our captain. Bruno is going to still start versus Porto, though, and we will probably lose that as well. Well, of course, he misses the Premier League games, doesn't he? But he can still play in Europe. You've got the narrative. He's from Boa Vista, isn't he? So from the Porto area. I'm sure he'll turn up. But then you have 2 games against Villa and Brentford, I think, where he can't play. So going to be interested to see who starts in there. Will Xerxes play there? Will Mason Mount start there? Will he push Eriksen up? Could a surprise copy appearance there? Will there be a system change? All will be revealed in a moment. Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford, Eriksen must not play under the new manager. That's from Lucky Singh. Lingham Davis says, we need a coach that can coach the players. Have a mentality, be strict like Fergie, but don't spoil. Reprimand them, drop them. Like Fergie did. I would have taken De Zerbi, Nick. It's interesting. Seems to be doing a good job at Marseille, doesn't he? For the meantime. Imagine getting a good coach and we destroy this season, not getting Champions League and getting points deduction because of PSR. Ineos blood will be on the hands. Well, yeah, that's another concern, isn't it? A bit more petrol to add to the fire, that there are huge concerns that United may struggle to meet PSR regulations if we don't get Champions League football. You might as well call it now. You might as well deduct the points now because we ain't getting Champions League football. We're not. If we got Champions League football, I would be fucking astonished. You'd have to have a serious manager bounce and then consistency after that. And I don't see it. I just don't see it personally. But anyway, let's go to this team that I want to put on the screen. I know people are going to criticize it already, but I was thinking before, and we put this out on our socials on X, which you can see on the little tablet there. All our socials are there, so if you don't follow us, check them out. Instagram, X, and TikTok. For any kind of news updates, reports, injury updates, manager press conference quotes, reels, loads of stuff on there. But yeah, the reason I just wanted to put this on the screen. So for me, what I would like to see, and look, I don't have my UEFA A badges and whatever it is. I'm not a coach, so people can pick this apart. The real kind of nerdy analysts can pick it apart. That's absolutely fine. But I would like to see this. Now, a lot of people criticise the back five, and I've spoken about this openly before. You can win stuff with it. It's proven. Thomas Tuchel did it. He won a Champions League. You can do it with the Euros. I think Mourinho even did it when he won the treble. He implemented it sometimes. It can be effective. It can be boring at times if it's not implemented correctly, but I think it can be effective. And I think with a back three of Euro, who's very good at defending the wide areas, and 1v1. You've got Lissandro on the left-hand side, who could be a progressor, you could step into midfield sometimes. You've got your wing-backs, if Shaw manages to get fit. I think Mazraoui and Shaw as wing-backs would be really, really good. Your central system, you've got Mainu, Ugarte, and Mount as your kind of engine room. And then you have Xerxes and Højlund up top, or you can have Xerxes and Rashford, whichever way you want to work, because I think they've got a really good connection as well. But I would just like to see this set up. When Thomas Tuchel came in at Chelsea, when he was leaking so many goals under Frank Lampard, they brought in Tuchel, and he didn't set up exactly like this, but it was a kind of similar method. And you saw instantly keeping clean sheets, winning 1-0, 2-0, really hard to beat. And obviously, he won stuff there. I want to see something like this, personally, even if it's for a game or two. You know, because in reality, what has Ten Hag got to lose now? He has got nothing to lose. You can pivot. He's been stubborn for 3 seasons. Now it looks like you're on the brink of losing your job. If there has ever been a point where you need to pivot or you need to do something tactically, it's got to be now. It's got to be now. And it don't have to be this. It could be a different setup. It could be different personnel, individuals. But you have to tweak something and you have to change something or you're going to lose your job. You are going to lose your job. It's as simple as that. So this is something I would personally like to see. But again, there's a lot of question marks. Is Shaw going to stay fit? Will Mount stay fit? You know, will Ugarte and Mainu partnership blossom? Because we've seen nothing yet. They look like complete opposites. How will Højlund and Xerxes? There's a lot of unknowns there, which I understand and I get. And even if a new coach came in, would they play certain players in that team? If Tuchel came in, would he play De Ligt? Would he play... You don't know, do you? It's certainly playing Mount, I'll tell you that for free. So, yeah, I think this is interesting, but it's something I would go with and I just wanted to discuss. So, let me know your thoughts on that, what we're saying, people. That's the formation I chose versus Spurs, Nick. That's good to know. Great minds think alike. If we have a game model decided by the Ineos team, are we saying that all the coaching team are failing to implement it, or that Erik Ten Hag has individually overrun the model and his assistants? I think, obviously, Ten Hag has the biggest influence. I think that's a fantastic question, though, to be fair, because what is the game model? Have we changed from last season? I think so. It's not as chaotic as it. It's not as end-to-end. We're not conceding as many shots. The stats and the XG told you that at the start of the season. But I still think the build-up's questionable. I still think there's shitloads of spaces in the midfield. I don't think they're being instructed right. And that comes from the head coach. But I don't know. It's hard. You can't really make a strong opinion or comment on it because you don't know what goes on in the training sessions. I don't watch them. I would love to see it, but we don't. We can only judge them off the 90 minutes that we see on the pitch. And the figurehead for that is Erik Ten Hag. I'd put Kobe as a 10, Casemiro and Ugarte. I thought Casemiro and Ugarte, Andy, but I thought it's a bit... Is that not too pragmatic, having a back five, having Casemiro and Ugarte in there? I said Kobe as a 10. I would try it personally. I really, really would. Because I think what he offers you when you play it to him in tight spaces, he is composed. He can dribble past 3 or 4 players. And he'll keep hold of the ball. Players like Ahmad, Kobe do that. So I'm happy to try him there. Also, Mainu, Mount, Ugarte is too lightweight. Change Mainu for Casemiro. Casemiro, yeah. I mean, and he'd be more protected in the system, wouldn't he? To be fair. But we've got to try something, haven't we, lads? Even, you lot come up with whatever you want. What kind of formation, what players you would bring in. We have to try something. I think if he continues with this, he's going to lose his job. Simple as that. Simple as that. We actually had a stat that got put out last night. We got put in a group chat. I'm saying that like that. Well, I put it in the group chat. And it was to do with the most interceptions in the league, I think it was. Let me just bang this on the screen. Because I saw a lot of people online, like they usually do with stats. Like, oh my God, that's amazing. Look at him. Top of the list and da-da-da and all this kind of stuff. I was like, what on earth are you talking about? That's absolute nonsense. Where the fuck is it going? Oh, it's there. Right, so have a look at this, yeah? So, interceptions, and a couple of our players on there already. So, season stat leaders, English Premier League. Lisandro Martinez first with 17 interceptions. Kobe Mainu second with 14 interceptions. Diego Dalot fourth with 14 interceptions. So, you got three United players on there in the top 5 for interceptions. That tells you everything you need to know. People are looking at that and they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Loads of interceptions. They must be doing the job. Nah. And also, just before I dive into this, who else notices that when United lose a vital game, the next thing any media outlet does is just flood us with stats. As if there's some kind of trophy that's going for it. They absolutely flood in with stats. Sky Sports are absolutely criminal for it, should I say. And to be honest, the only reason those stats are there is because we intercept and then we hand it back to the opposition because teams constantly attack us. So it's the law of averages that our defensive players are going to get higher stats. So don't be looking at that as if it's some kind of shrine and it's amazing and, look at the good work the lads are doing. No, that's not great. We shouldn't be there. We shouldn't be there in reality. We really, really shouldn't. So just wanted to debunk that myth and that kind of stat. Nick, the fullbacks are doing nothing at the moment. I don't know. I think that's a bit harsh. I think Mazraoui has been good since he's come in. I thought he was a little bit shaky against Spurs, but apart from that, he's been solid. Everyone was absolutely praising the life out of him. Dalot, equally, had been good, but I thought that performance against Spurs from Dalot was one of the worst performances I've seen. Genuinely. Really, really do. Which, again, is worrying because he's someone who dedicates himself week in, week out. When United players speak about who's the best trainer, who's going to be the one to turn up on time, who's going to be still playing at the age of 40? Everyone says Dalot. Ronaldo spoke about Dalot in his application. And he's still inconsistencies in his game where he's playing like a 3 out of 10. So, it's concerning, man. I think that's because people before big games think everything rosy in the garden. Loads of lurkers in this chat in a minute. Yeah, but they're not assisting Nick, so what's the point? They're not crossing the ball. Yeah, output-wise, you can have more. I think the combination on the right-hand side, we started seeing that partnership with Ahmad and Mazraoui blossoming nicely, and then we went back to Garnacho against Spurs. I don't know. We do need more. I agree. Charlie Man was saying the sad thing is United must have Champions League if we do not. PSR will bite us badly next year. Yep. It's all downhill from here. We put a clip up today, and it's just me basically discussing and saying that buckle up because this season's could get really, really difficult again. Unless Ruud comes in as this magical manager bounce, similar to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and something fresh comes in, and we're watching a new style, and we're defending well, and we're consistent. That'd be great, and that'd be fantastic, but I think that's fantasy land, lads. I really, really do. And on this channel, what's this channel called? Real Reds Talk. We are real, we are authentic, and we don't chat shit. So, yeah. We're not in it for personal agendas. We're not in it for fucking egos, and we're in it because we love the club and we want us to be successful. I don't think there's anyone in the chat who doesn't, unless you're a Chelsea fan, Arsenal fan, or whatever, or unless you lads on the kickoff. But I want to see some progression from United. I'm sick of year in, year out, the same old shit, the same old stories, the same old player leaks, the same old, oh, well, the next manager will come in and we'll do this, and, oh, it's the players, it's the manager, it's the coach, It really is. United is just a jack in the box of a club. Jack in the box of a club. That's the best way to describe us. Indeed, Nick, we don't know where the real issues lie. This is why I'm reluctant to simply repeat the manager cycle. The football is not working, we all agree, but we need to identify the real solution. Rasmus wants to be a wrestler. Oh, God. Oh, God. Speaking about wrestlers... Just a final plug before I head off for today's show. We've got the Porto preview tonight, don't forget, so make sure you come and join me and the lads for that one. Really interested to dissect that and talk about specifics and who's going to start and if there will be a tweak. And I'm very interested to get the lads' thoughts on it as well, and all of your thoughts as well, who's watching behind the camera. But yeah, just before I go, just a quick plug. So we've got a video dropping today around, I want to say about 3 or 4 o'clock. And it is, if you've seen all the stuff online at the minute on social media with Saeed and Mark Goldbridge and Planet Faz and all these kind of guys who are just having this kind of civil war, they're calling it, in the fan base. I give my take on that. We watched a couple of clips after the game, Saeed outside Old Trafford, Goldbridge replying to him, and that kind of viral beef that's ongoing. I give my take on that. So that's dropping at 3 or 4 o'clock. So check that out. If that's your kind of stick or whatever you want to call it, then make sure you check that out and let us know your thoughts on it. I'd love to get your opinions in the video in the comments section. Apart from that, if that's not your stick, we'll be back at 7 o'clock with a Portal preview. I'm going to go make a cup of tea. I'm going to play some FIFA. And yeah, I'm going to relax ahead of the stressful Thursday that is inevitable in the Europa League against Porto. So appreciate all of you. If you can, just before you head off, please do leave a like on the video for us. Subscribe to the channel. We're on 7,036 subs at the minute. I'm on the road to 10k, and we'll have a big party when we do it 10k. So if there is anyone who's just joining, you enjoy the football content, you enjoy the analysis, you enjoy the community, then yeah, subscribe to the channel. If you want to become a member as well, click the join button next to the notification bell. There's quite a few members, Real Red Ultras, so if you want to become a part of that community, it just helps support the channel. We'll reinvest it into it. No money gets spent from us. It just goes back into things like, you know, Canva, Photoshop, Adobe, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I appreciate you anyway. Honestly, have a wonderful day.